Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. I think we're all set to get started.
Yep, welcome everyone. We've got a decent crew that have joined so far, so thank you all for joining us this morning. This is of course our panel discussion on Sprott's Crisis Management and Recovery Program, or the CMR program. I'm just going to go over a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. My name is Laura McCaffrey. I'm an engagement strategy advisor in the Department of University Advancement. I'm part of the team that launched Carleton's new Hub for Good website recently, which you can find at hubforgood.carleton.ca. The Hub for Good is a digital space that's dedicated to facilitating partnership and collaboration between Carleton and its broader community. The CMR program fits really nicely under that initiative, so we reached out to Sprott recently to get the CMR posted as a partnership opportunity on the Hub. And since then, we've been working collaboratively with Sprott to develop and co-host this event, which we hope will be a valuable resource to all of you. So I'd like to mention as well that I'm joined today by my advancement colleague, Jennifer Gray. As part of our alumni relations and events team. So you heard her voice welcoming you all a few minutes ago. So I just wanted to introduce her because you may hear her chime in throughout our session today. She and I are both going to be on the back end kind of monitoring questions and helping to run things behind the scenes. So hello to Jen.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to bring you this panelist and excited to see the discussion that happens.
Another note, today's session will be recorded, so we're going to be sending out that link to the recording after the event. We invite you to share that with any colleagues who you think might be interested but who weren't able to attend today. So that will be an ongoing resource that you can share. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and introduce our panel moderator, who's Captain Andrew Webb. So Andrew is a faculty member of Carleton's Sprott School of Business, academic director of Sprott's project-based service learning initiative, and one of the leads for the CMR program. Andrew has been a member of the Sprott's International Business Research faculty since 2017. His research is ever growing in the international business arena with contributions that are advancing our understanding of cross-sector social partnerships, namely in the field of sport for development. In addition, his forward-thinking focus on project-based and service learning is bringing an exciting new perspective to management education. He's also a past captain, director general at the Valcartier Family Center, and operations manager at the Canadian Forces Morale and Welfare Services, and he has some very real crisis management experience from his time in the military. Andrew is a pillar of the Carleton community, and we are grateful to have him leading this important discussion today. So I'll pass it over to you now, Andrew.
Thanks, Laura. I haven't been called captain in a long time, so thanks for that. So I'm an instructor at the Sprott School of Business here at Carleton. I'm also the academic director of Sprott's project-based and service learning initiative, and one of the lead faculty members that oversees this CMR program. What we're hoping to do today is to give you a little bit more information about what is the CMR program, specifically what it is, who is eligible, what are the incentives to participate, and how we think it will benefit both our partner organizations and our students. We'll then move into a moderated panel discussion and give our panelists a chance to talk about their involvement and experience in the program. Finally, we'll open up the floor for questions for our panelists, and then we encourage you to submit your questions using the chat function throughout the session. So before we get started, I would like to introduce our panelists who will be jumping in the conversation quite shortly. So first, I want to please welcome my colleague, Dr. Rodney Nelson, who is also an instructor at Sprott School of Business and a faculty co-lead at the CMR program. Rodney has a variety of multidisciplinary background with over 30 years experience working with both the public and the private sectors. His diverse interests include corporate board governance, ethics and compliance, economic development, risk management, business continuity planning, indigenous relations, cross-cultural communications, and international development. As an expert in corporate governance, Rodney sits on several boards and has headed many councils and working groups. As an entrepreneur, he has created several businesses, including a marketing and communications company at the Global Governance Group, where he is the current principal of governance and CEO. Rodney was the business continuity research lead for the Conference Board of Canada and the chair of the Pandemic Preparedness Working Group for Canadian businesses. In this role, Ronnie liaised with the World Health Organization for Canadian businesses during the H1N1 pandemic and was invited to join the Deputy Minister of Health's private sector working group on pandemics representing Canadian businesses. Ronnie holds a PhD from Carleton and Trent and a master's degree in anthropology, 2 bachelor degrees in psychology and anthropology. Rodney will be sharing with us his expertise from a supervisory perspective within the program. We also have Eric Steiner, who's a current Sprott student and student participant in the CMR program. Eric is a 4th-year Bachelor of Commerce student with a concentration in marketing. He has been involved in the experiential learning opportunities at Carleton, both in and outside of the classroom. Those opportunities include serving as a member of the DECA chapter, which supports and prepares emerging leaders, and participating in small consultation programs for local SMEs. Eric has aspirations for a career in marketing, communication, and media, and is set to graduate in June. Eric will be providing a student perspective on the panel and will be speaking to the value that Sprott students bring to the CMR program. Finally, we have Emily Jones-Joannis, who is the co-founder and CEO of Connected Canadians, the national not-for-profit organization that helps connect older adults with free technology training and support. Emily holds 2 degrees from Carleton University, first a Bachelor in Computer Sciences and an MBA in International Development Management. She has worked in information technology for over 15 years, both in Canada and internationally, including Europe and Australia. She is currently a part-time management professor at the Algonquin College School of Business, and has also worked as an ICT teacher at the International Baccalaureate School in Italy. Emily is an alumna and former employee of the Canadian Shad Valley program and has held a variety of leadership roles in other STEM and educational initiatives. She has also worked as a freelance DJ, both in Canada and internationally. She has released music on the Italian jazz label Schema Records. Emily's position on the panel will be to give you the formative perspective of the business partner and participant in the CMR program. She will speak to her experience thus far and what she chose to get involved. So we're going to start with an overview of the CMR program, which I'll be providing you in a second, as soon as we just change the link here. Screen. So you able to see that? Is this working?
Nope, not yet. Andrew, try one more time.
Give it one more check. How about now? We're good?
Excellent.
All right. Thanks for the thumbs up. Let me get the full screen here. All right. So this is the panel that we have the discussion today. So what is the Crisis Management and Recovery Program? Well, essentially, what we're trying to do is to deal with a new reality. The problem is, as you know, COVID is striking small and medium businesses. We'll see smaller profits and higher costs in time as time progresses. Consumers will be spending less and reducing debt to protect themselves, or they'll be spending differently. Businesses and not-for-profits will have to innovate and adapt quickly as the world reacts to these new challenges. So how do you reach your customers to stay competitive in what they call this new normal? And if you're a not-for-profit business, how are you going to reach out to your donors and sponsors to make sure that they're going to be able to continue to supporting your organization? So essentially, this is the problem, and everyone is aware of it, and this is going to be helping to deal with it. So how are we going to proceed to help? Well, what we've done is we've created an extra division of the project-based and service learning initiative that we started at Carleton in 2018. We started with our first pilot projects. Now, what we were doing in the past is that we've been matching up local or not-for-profits and organizations with groups of students who would help them with opportunities or challenges, whatever they may be. Business planning, strategic planning, fundraising, different types of elements that businesses and not-for-profit have to deal with. Well, with the COVID crisis, what we realized on one hand is that we'd have a cohort of students who'd be graduating in just about the worst job market, since the Great Depression. On top of that, we have a series of unprecedented challenges that our not-for-profit and corporate partners are going to be facing in the near future. So we decided we should, create a partnership between the students, Sprott School of Business, and the local businesses and not-for-profits. However, as our students were not necessarily prepared to deal with crisis management and recovery, we didn't want to send them out to deal with partners without having any preparation or training for that. So what we did is we created the Crisis Management and Recovery certificate program, which Rodney leads. and basically providing 60 hours of specific training on crisis management and recovery. You'll be able to explain a little bit further about that in a few minutes. So on one hand, we have these unprecedented problems that students and businesses are facing, and to be able to deal with that, we've created this new program to design specifically to help out with that. So what are we here to offer is basically we want to provide you with access to students' curiosity, imagination, and energy. We're going to be able to leverage to help you in these times of uncertainty. These students, however, have all been provided with the 60 hours training provided by Rodney, and they're not out there working alone. They are going to also be mentored and coached by different members of the Sprott faculty who will be able, all depending on what the project or the need of the organization is, we will be there to be able to structure a team that will be tailor-made or bespoke for exactly what the project or the challenge that you're facing. So if an organization is facing something that could be very short, very quick turnaround time, it's just we don't have the bandwidth to deal with this right now, you can reach out to us, we'll create you a small team, they'll be able to react very, very quickly. However, if an organization was actually thinking more on broader scale to take advantage of this pause that we now have, to be able to try to rethink the way we do business or how we're going to reach out or deal with the supply chain or connect with customers differently, or it could be something like we want to be more inclusive at the management level. How can we go about doing that? Well, we can set up teams that will be working on with you for several weeks, months, or maybe even a year or two to be able to have these turnaround. So really, it's a very, very advantageous and interesting program for organizations. And on top of that, business owners and not-for-profits who participate in this, it's at no cost for them. This is something that is beneficial to the organizations, to the university, but also for the students as well. And there's no cost directly related to this. So we're going to move now into the discussion session. So I'm going to just stop the sharing screen here, and we're going to move on to the next portion of this panel discussion. So for all panelists, what compelled you to get involved with the CMR initiative? Emily, you want to go first? Or
I mean, I can speak to that from the student perspective.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
I was first interested in it mostly just from curiosity because this is something new. I mean, in university, there's a lot of theoretical or research-based courses, so getting the opportunity to apply your learning into a real-world environment is really interesting. I know that from my work experience that I do learn quite well just by doing things, and having a real impact is just a much more compelling way of going about it.
Thank you.
All right. I think on my end, I've been really impressed with the level of the students that I've worked with to date from the project-based learning initiative, and hearing that you guys were doing something else specifically around the pandemic and the effects that it would have on local businesses, I thought was a really awesome idea, and doing anything that I could do to help support that was just something that seemed natural to me.
Thanks, Emily. Ronnie.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew, for the introduction, and for the thank you to all our panelists. I never thought I would actually be teaching, business continuity and pandemic planning during a pandemic, but here we are. It's a great opportunity for again, as Eric said, bringing theoretical to practical. And Sprott students are very versed in different areas of business. So we've got a great breadth of different students from first year all the way to MBA students that have had some great training and some great knowledge and some great experiences working out volunteering and working in different organizations and professionally as well. So it's exciting to be able to create this initiative and bring that into such a hard time that people are having with businesses right now during COVID-19.
All right, thanks a lot. For all the panelists, again, what do you hope you will be able to achieve or get out of this program? Eric, perhaps want to start again?
Yeah, sure. So of course, it's the normal things and more work experience as well. But at this point, it's a lot more than that as well. I know from the people that I've had a chance to speak with, my peers. Well, we obviously have an interest in recovering the economy, given that we're going to have to deal with it. So being able to help out with the community and get closer to both the faculty at Carleton and around Ottawa is really important to us. So it's about making a difference one step at a time, like day by day, business by business.
Thank you very much. Emily, what are you?
I think just in general, every one of these sorts of activities, I always meet new people who, you know, give me more ideas, and I can learn from them. And I very much enjoy these sorts of activities. So I'm just looking forward to all the inspiration that will come out of this.
Do you really need more ideas, Emily?
I don't know if I need more ideas, but I certainly like having more of them.
Oh, okay. Well, very good. Very good. And how about you, Rodney?
Well, I think for this entire program, I mean, the idea is that helping hand is to do what we can and take part in helping others through this tough time. You know, I've got a lot of friends in businesses which are completely shut down right now. They're worried about where the next paychecks are coming in. They have nothing coming in as far as any income. They're worried about their families. They're worried about their employees, families as well. So we've had to really rethink the way that we do business. And if we can help in any way whatsoever to ease that for businesses that are out there, especially locally in the Ottawa area, I think that's a fantastic program for doing that. Now, there's so many issues that they're facing, and with the CMR course itself, we've been trying to bring in. We've got a local business series, which Emily was wonderful, and we were actually doing ours yesterday, so we did a great interview yesterday, and so students can see that, and they can see what's happening with the local businesses, but also gives a forum for local businesses to talk about some of the issues that they've had. So I think that, doing that and bringing the CMR and bringing Sprott into the sort of that fold, if you will, of helping others is fantastic opportunity for all of us. And of course, it's doing our part, which we have to do out there.
Thanks, Rob. It actually comes as a good segue for the next question I have directly at you. So why would you encourage small business to get involved with this program?
Well, I mean, as I was mentioning, the small businesses are really having a hard time. Mom and pop shops all the way up to, those that are producing. We actually had Mike Wood from Capital Entertainment on. He was talking about, they were shut down one day after this hit, and they'll probably be the last to open up. And they're in charge of blues. They do Blues Fest, Glow Fest, almost anything, building stages or anything around there. But as Mike Wood would say, we're completely shut down. We don't have a dollar coming in to our business right now. And how do we cope with that? So for me, I mean, that's the kind of stories that are out there right now, which were so critical. And our part in doing that, and especially for local businesses to come to Sprott and say, hey, listen, what I want to do, even as you said, on a more micro scale, is I just want to be able to reach out to our clients and tell them that we're still here, we're not going out, but how do we do that? And I don't even have a staff right now. How do I do that? All the way to other businesses where we've actually interviewed a veterinarian hospital, which was an essential service, and how they're doing business differently. How they're bringing animals in for surgery and for CAT scans and MRIs, and how the technicians are working differently. How do we do social distancing as well? So all of these things, from crisis communications to operationalizing COVID-19, to looking at even some of the governance and policies issues that are coming up as well, because that's, people are at home, and they're looking at different ways of working at home. Nobody even thinks about working ergodynamically at home, right? Everybody's sitting on bean bags and things like that. So there's a multitude of different things that we do at Sprott, which we can certainly offer that helping hand through the PBSL project.
Well, basically, it's the variety, it's the adaptability of how we can adapt the program to help whatever the specific need might be.
Yeah, absolutely, right? And that's critical. I mean, the two things that I say through this whole entire thing is adaptability and compassion. And we've got that in spades, and we all have to consider that in going forward for sure.
Thank you very much. Eric, for you, I have a couple questions for you specifically. So you've been involved with the project-based service learning initiative for a few years now. What have you learned from that experience working with our programs before? And how do you plan to apply what you've learned to support business specifically in the CMR program?
Right. So it kind of ties into what I stated earlier. Just Sprott students have a great theoretical background, but they don't necessarily know what it's like to work in an actual business. So the one thing that I learned from the previous PBSL initiatives is that communication is absolutely key. And we're not going to be able to get the full 3-month page of exactly what is going to need to be done over this project. So it's all about adaptability, teamwork, and making sure that everyone stays on track. So it comes back to the corporate side of the CMR initiative and the team leads, the people who have a little bit more experience with this, making sure that all the new people who, they have a lot of eagerness, they want to put themselves out there. They're all still working at what is actually going to be important for the business in question, because the last thing anyone wants is 60 hours to go by and you come and find out that it's not at all what the client was looking for. So yeah, as a team lead, I'm really excited to be able to be that sort of mentor for some people and have a direct relationship with the clients in the future.
But to just to recall, perhaps you could share with us, we have a process in place to make sure that you don't have the 60 hours of work put into it before understanding. Can you explain a little bit how that works, the different steps that we ensure that we are on track?
It's kind of a hybrid, I think, in a way, to the theoretical side of things. So we'll have an initial a meeting with the client and kind of get a sense of what is going to need to be done, and then we'll draft an initial report that details what we will do and present it to both the corporate and the client side of things. And then periodically, depending on how it's organized, one-on-one or through a series of presentations, there's a regular checkup to make sure that everything's going according to plan. And finally, then there's a final report at the end, which will tie it all together. And hopefully everyone's happy.
So it's generally a very agile process where as we move forward, there's lots of opportunities for checks and balances to make sure that we're right on track.
Definitely. And it's the adaptability as well. Like if a big page report doesn't work for the client, if they just want some like a one-on-one communication, they just want a phone call every week, or even more frequent than that, then we work with that. Yeah.
Excellent. And as a program, as you're going to be beginning your new team lead position very soon, what are you most looking for? Or what value do you think you and your Sprott students, your classmates, will bring to the different projects? So what are you looking for?
Well, I mean, from the people I've talked to, there's so much eagerness to actually get out there. For myself, I had to put some, professional plans on hold because of all of this. So they just really want to get out, and it's as a team lead, of course, as I said, I need to be like curating the whole process and making sure that their efforts are directed properly. But it's also about the list of resources that we all have, both academic and professional. The outside of the box thinking. We're used to dealing with problems, but at this point, we're going to have to deal with problems that we might not actually know at the forefront. So.
There's an element as well. Yeah, there's an element of unknown about how we're going to be proceeding with this, which is
right.
It's fascinating. So thank you very much, Eric. For Emily, can I ask you and your organization have been involved with the project-based service learning initiative for for years now as a business partner. So what was the experience been like, and what kind of support have you received so far from the Sprott students?
For sure. So I've had a really positive experience with all of the students that we've had assigned to us. I found that they were amazing communicators, really enthusiastic, and in terms of being able to be nimble and shift based on different requirements that we would throw at them throughout the term. I thought that was also really helpful, and their responsiveness was awesome. So the work that they did, the reporting was really great and helpful. They just were able to go after and do research on things that I had no time to do, and I appreciated that tremendously. So I'm thrilled.
I remember talking about nimble. I remember that the first project they had with your organization, and we had you had an opportunity, and then when we had to completely shift like 90 degrees. I was like, would you just explain briefly what that was like?
Yeah, no, it was in probably the last 3 weeks or so. We had an opportunity to partner with a large national organization, and I had mentioned that in passing to our team lead, and he said, "Oh, I can go and research that for you and basically rewrite our report." So away he went and did exactly that. So I can definitely vouch for the agility of those teams.
Thank you very much. Connected Canadians, like many businesses, is facing unique challenges during this time. Can you tell a little bit about those challenges? What kind of support and assistance you hope to receive from the CMR students throughout this program?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So clearly our business model before was really focused on supporting seniors in person. And we really wanted to make sure that even as everything shifted and we started to deliver services remotely, that we maintained that human connection in everything that we did, because that's really core to what we offer. We're Connected Canadians is not Geek Squad or a service desk alone. We are a group of caring human beings who try to reduce social isolation. So I think just in terms of figuring out how do we continue to maintain that even as we shift our service model, and how do we build on that and make sure that there's a bit more of it, even because of the fact that now that we're connecting digitally, we have to kind of figure out new ways. And I would love to have the help of Sprott in terms of figuring out new ways to communicate or otherwise reach our clients in a way that's just as meaningful as it was before.
Thank you very much. We'll do our best to make sure we try to do that. So at this point, we'll now open the floor for questions from the audience. Please feel free to type your questions in the Q&A box, or if you'd like to ask a question directly, you can click or raise your hand icon, and we'll be able to enable your audio and your video. So I believe I'm passing off the moderation here.
Yes, Andrew, we have a question from Sean in the webinar chat group. He says, what can companies expect to have at the end of a project? So much to Emily's point.
Well, it depends on what the need is. If you need a strategic plan, we'll give you a strategic plan. If you need an evaluation of your supply chain, we'll do that. If it's an HR manual, an improving HR manual, we can do that. Health and safety, an evaluation of health and safety practices, we'll also do that. So it really depends on what the client needs. If they need a new branding exercise, well, we'll provide them with a branding exercise. So not all projects will be like the academic research, typical research paper, which we can do if that's what they want. But if it's one thing so more tailor-made, we'll absolutely do that.
Yeah, I think, Andrew, if I could just jump in.
Oh yeah,
here,
absolutely.
Maybe even just talk a bit about the consultation process with the companies. We don't go out and just offer a suite of this is what we're going to do for you. It is a consultative process in which the team leads, and everybody works with the company to find out and does an analysis with them to see what they need and what is the best way to help them.
I would say even from a tangible point of view, if a research report works for you guys, if it's a 1 to 2 page report, if it's a presentation, if it's just a conversation, we'll be able to do that no matter what. It's just about coordinating with everybody.
Great.
And interestingly, something that is building on what Rodney was saying is that sometimes just the fact of talking about an issue or an opportunity or challenge, the fact that it stimulates your thought process about the issue, and just thinking and talking about it will actually help you be able to find innovative solutions to be able to try to deal with everything.
Yeah, and I think with a lot of small businesses, I mean, it's a matter of time. They just don't have the time. They don't have the capacity, especially during this time during COVID-19. People are just trying to stay afloat or retool their business or
keep the lights on.
Try to communicate and whatnot as well. So they're just trying to get through life as it is. You're right, as it is right now. So I mean, it's great to have this kind of independent team which works closely with you, but also that you don't have to. That they've got their marching orders. They go off, they do what they need to do. They come back to you and they work with you with good communications and whatnot as well. So.
We've received another question. How do you apply? Is it only for small businesses, or do you work with nonprofits as well?
We work with local small businesses, startups, and not-for-profits. So for example, Eric, who did you work with last semester?
Well, I worked with the Ottawa Symphony Orchestra for 2 weeks. We were working on organizing their sponsorship strategy and aligning it more closely to corporate social responsibility in order to apply to younger people, a younger generation.
So absolutely, not-for-profits we're here to help.
We have a question from the audience. Someone has raised their hand. Taras, I've enabled your microphone. If you'd like to ask your question, please feel free to go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Hear you fine.
Okay, great. I'm looking at redoing a number of things within my business itself, as in putting together a business plan and going from old school where I wasn't heavily online and things like that to actually bring it to that point. Am I in the right place for this?
Absolutely.
Okay. Then I'd be definitely interested in pursuing further and going through explaining what I'm looking to achieve. And then at that point there, get the feedback as to, yes, we can do these things for you, but we can't do those things for you. That'd be great.
Thank you very much for the question. Just to explain a little bit how the process works in the back office is that for example, right now we have 74 students registered in the CMR program. Some of them have already identified that they would be interested in becoming team leads. So what we would do in this type of situation is that first of all, we would have a client relations manager, whose name is Johan. He'll be contacting you, and him and his team, they will help define what the mandate will be. Once that mandate is well defined, we'll post it to our team leads. Who wants to work on this? Who has interest in this type of field? Who's motivated to go after this? Once the team leads are identified, we'll select the one that has the best fit, and that team lead will then become a contact with you. That person then will develop, the first document they'll develop is the project charter, in which we agree with you about what we will be doing and what we won't be doing. Here's the limits to what we're intervention. From there, we'll set up a series of meetings, be formal or informal, whatever's convenient for you. How about halfway through the process, just to make sure we're on track, as Eric mentioned, we'll have the preliminary presentation. That's where we're going to be presenting you what we found so far, just to make sure we're on the right track, keep going as an agile management approach, instead of waiting for the end to have this big waterfall moment where the big reveal. No, there won't be a big reveal. There's a series of ongoing connections. And then at the end, we'll be able to provide you with the final deliverable, which has been tailor-made from the get-go to basically what you want.
Okay.
Just want a little bit of clarification there.
That sounds great.
I notice we have Kate Holmes online. There says big thanks to Eric Pugin team for the Ottawa Symphony. So, well, hi, Kate.
Yeah, and I think it's important just to reiterate, Andrew, some of the one point that you said earlier is that, it's all, the teams are also have an incredible amount of faculty support behind them. I mean, going forward in this in crisis communications management and whatnot as well. I mean, I'm going to be there, Andrew's going to be there, and others that are dedicated their time and effort in order to help these teams in any area that they may need going forward as well. So you've got a great team, very flexible, very dynamic, that'll work directly with you, and a whole host of the faculty which stand behind them and work with them directly.
Great. We have another question. What do you define as a small business, and do they have to be in the Ottawa area?
That's an excellent question. You don't have to be a small business. We've worked with large corporations. Large corporations, often they'll have sufficient staff and resources, so they don't really need our help. If they did, we would try to help them out as well. But less than 250, small business. We've worked with startups of one person, entrepreneurs who just want to, have a better idea about the market. So it's so there really isn't a limit to the size. Not too big, not too small. It's all good. Does it have to be in Ottawa? No, we actually have with the clients, co-educators, in fact, because they're actually helping us teach the next generation of business managers. Right now, one in Yukon, and we have an organization that works out of Normandy, France. So, no, it doesn't have to be local.
Okay, another question. How do you train or ensure that a student who is not currently affiliated with the program can effectively contribute to this initiative and meet the needs of a small business?
Well, for the CMR program, there won't be any students who have not gone through Rodney's certification program. So just to make sure that all the students that are going to be working on crisis management and recovery type programs will have had that training.
Yeah, and I think if I could add to that, a lot of our students have been in business school training and learning their specialties as well. So it's not just directly on emergency management and recovery and whatnot as well. It's all the expertise that they bring as well, which is always incredible to see. But yes, all of them have to go through the program in which we look at different areas of things like crisis communication, operational management, and all the things that I talked about earlier. So they're going to get that basic training that's going to sort of give them that overview. But we're not only just touching on recovery and right now in COVID. I mean, they're getting ideas for even beyond this, how to prepare again for emergencies in the future, any kind of business continuity planning. All of these things are being wrapped up into it. So even the pre-planning, during execution, and then of course recovery plans and what we're doing moving forward. So we're even talking about the future of work and how things will change. So there's a real dynamic and a variety of different areas in which we're touching on in the communications, and students are bringing in all the time their own information. You know, what's it going to look like for financial systems moving forward even? That'll be an interesting question. I mean, are we going to be working online more? Are we going to be doing these things moving forward? So these are all huge questions that companies are starting to ask, and we've already asked them, and we've already had good discussions on them as well.
If we just to add one other point, is about a little bit the back office and how things work in our the CMR program, is that the student participants who go through the program usually will start like as a team member on a project. Once they've done a really good job as a team member, they have an opportunity to come back and to become a team leader. Like Eric, for example, is going to be coming back after he's had at least like a round of experience with us. So there is a system in place to make sure that the more senior experienced students, you know, some of them were like, or finished like fourth year students at like 4 years of business training, or the MBA students who have like sometimes maybe 5 or 10, 15 years of actual business experience and have decided to go back to school to complete the MBA. So the more senior experienced students will be the ones who will be managing the teams of other students. So I see a question from Krista. You're asking if it's just, I think I just answered that. So no, it's also undergrads and graduate students as well. So we have the MBA plus the PMBAs, was the professional masters in business administration students. So there's a real mix of students that are participating in this program.
Yeah, going forward, we have discussed opportunities for this to become a course that we can extend out to communities, so to professionals, do professional training and things as well. So I mean, there is that possibility moving forward. If there's an interest in it, yeah, we certainly can do it.
Great, we have one more question. Once this project has been assigned, do participants, Sprott consultants, have access to the company's resources, for example, staff tools and resources?
That usually, well, the level of access that the students will be given will depend on the partner. So some of them, if it's, for example, HR resource, if it's to, I don't know, to redo the HR manual, we would expect to be provided with the current HR practices. Students are only given access to what the partner wants us to get access to. So, you know, if it's, you know, if there's no need for us to have access to the financial information or the personnel information, we're just not granted that, and we don't go looking for it. So we take what the partner gives us, but it has to be sufficient amount of information to be able to allow us to do the job, of course.
It is just an extremely adaptable program. Like we will coordinate and do negotiations at the beginning to make sure that it fits both your strategic plan and the kind of access that you want to give us.
And especially maybe Andrew talk about confidentiality around that too, and agreements.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And if in the past we've done it before, and we're absolutely available to do it again. Non-disclosure agreements and confidentiality agreements can be signed along with memorandums of understanding. Will be discussed at that project charter phase of the program.
Great.
Another question.
Okay.
Sorry. Do you think pandemics such as this could allow organizations the opportunity to redefine themselves?
Barney, you want to take that one first?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm actually a part owner in a brewery locally, and one of the things that many of breweries are doing and things are they've retooled because they're creating hand sanitizers and different things like that. So even during the pandemic, we've seen some major retooling and rethinking of businesses. But even going forward, we've increased our online deliveries. We had to critically do that instantly. So we've done that, online deliveries. We've done in-person deliveries now. we're working a lot differently. And as a matter of fact, interesting enough, we're up 30% in profits. Just, of course, I don't know if that's a good thing being a brewery, but you know, there's certainly issues there, but certainly there's opportunities there. Not to say that everybody should be looking for opportunities during a pandemic, obviously, but you know, when they step up and they retool, or they're looking at different forms of delivery, I think that it is going to fundamentally change the way that we do business going forward. A lot more online, even in the education world, a lot more online delivery of education. I don't think that's going to go away. I think now that we've moved, I mean, Carleton alone, we moved 35,000 students online, and how many courses? We did that in a matter of weeks. So we're definitely going to be looking at different ways of delivery. Different business lines are opening up, things that we hadn't thought about that this has brought forward and that we're able to do now.
Emily, do you want to chime in there? I could see you, you look rearing to go.
I would say from our perspective, beyond the obvious of just delivering our stuff online, we also changed one core part of our staff. We recently received a grant from the City of Ottawa to retrain and retool service workers from the restaurant industry. So mostly bartenders and waitresses and waiters and various people who work in restaurants. And so we are training them now and paying them to be technology mentors for our seniors. And that is actually a really wonderful opportunity, which if the pandemic had not happened, I doubt that we would have been placed in such a position, just because all of those people would have had jobs. So just looking for ways to actually help other people, and you know, both populations in this case will benefit, because the seniors will get the help, and those people in the restaurant industry will also get this kind of experience and training that they otherwise wouldn't have received.
Yeah, so thank you very much. Absolutely, I think that this, as many businesses are being forced to press pause, that pause can become a great opportunity to think about the business lines, the way the business delivery, the supply chains, where we get our product, where we sell the products, how we sell the products. So there's many opportunities to actually, you know, take a deep dive. You know, maybe that we don't have time as we're running our day-to-day businesses, to take a strategic look at what business are we in and how are we delivering. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I've even worked with boards of directors lately on retooling their bylaws, because, you know, telecommunications and virtual, you couldn't vote. It was never in the bylaws. So we're rewriting bylaws now even. So there's so many different ways in which we are taking that pause, and we're looking back at the way that we do business and how we're changing that.
Yeah, and I know you work with a museum, Ronnie. So like, how does a museum operate with social distancing? Maybe, okay, it's great in a museum, you don't touch anything, you're not supposed to, but you know, there's different people. So the kind of questions are basically endless about how we we're forced to adapt to this.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. At the museum, I mean, it's interesting. I'm on the board for the War Museum and for the National Museum of History, and we shut down completely. So exhibits are just non-existent for us. So we've moved to doing online activities, which we had never done before. And as a matter of fact, we just had Rick Hansen doing a whole video presentation and taking questions and whatnot as well, and just showcasing some of the sort of historical elements of Great Canadians. So that's the things that we're doing there, just to try to retool and still reach out what we can. So it's incredible, you know, the things then that you're forced to do when you're put into these positions, for sure.
I was just going to say the National Gallery also reached out to us because they want us to design a program to reach seniors that obviously can no longer go into the National Gallery anymore and view all of their things online. So I'm meeting with them tomorrow as well to discuss how we can work on that.
Fantastic. Well, good luck. Let me know how it goes.
Well, I think, Emily, we had a conversation yesterday, and just to reiterate something you said, is reach out to people. You know, it's great that you're reaching out to us and Sprott and everything like that. And of course we can help and we can do this, but also reach out to other businesses. You reach out to other people. So many people are in this and we're all in this together. So we've got to be able to help each other out. Looking at what other businesses are doing is going to help out. You know, if you've got a competitor, even, I mean, at this point, competition, most people are there to help everybody. So that was one of the things that Emily had said yesterday, was just reach out, talk to people about it, talk to other businesses, talk to volunteers, because volunteers are out there and they're just willing to help out whatever they can. So there's a lot out there right now that we can do to try to help each other make it through this tough time.
Absolutely. Partnerships are absolutely going to be key to getting through this. We're going to get through this together. Thank you very much. Laura, do you have any other questions?
We do. We have one more follow-up question from Nancy. She's asking, is the CMR program a self-paced online learning product, or will the next cohort be commencing shortly?
Thank you very much, Nancy. That's an excellent question. Rodney, we don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, it is, you know, again, we have to pivot quickly. So, you know, we realized that when we put this online, we're actually scheduled every Monday from 2:30 to 4:30. We'd be getting together, we'd be discussing and talking, but then we quickly realized that a lot of people are working, especially, you know, a lot of our MBAs have their own businesses. I mean, we have a couple of CEOs even that are involved in it, that are doing their EMBAs and MBAs. So, you know, we had to quickly pivot again and put everything online. Plus, it's something that needs to be online for people so they can go back and have it as a tool. So crisis communication, for instance, we've got a whole module on that, so that, you know, when it comes time they're doing work, they can go back to that and all the resources will be there. So it is all completely, you can do it either completely self-directed learning online, or we do have interactions online as well. At some point, maybe we'll get back to being in person. You know, that would be nice, but we only hope.
We still have about 10 more minutes. We have time for a few more questions. If anyone wants to post something in the Q&A or on the webinar chat, please feel free, or raise your hand and we'll enable your microphone. We have another one from Sean. Let me just unmute him. There we go, Sean.
Hey.
Hi, good morning, or afternoon, I guess it is. Would your students be ideally suited for helping develop an online sales initiative? We're in the chemical business and a lot of our products are hazardous goods, which makes selling online through channels like Amazon or eBay very difficult. Would they be good at looking at something like that and figuring out how we could possibly digitize our business?
They could absolutely look into that. The students would be very well designed to look at, for example, academic literature, other research that has been done on that particular field. First off. Second off, they're really good at benchmarking. So studying best practices from other competitors or businesses in this particular industry, either locally or internationally, absolutely very, very good at that. Perhaps not the best for like designing the actual online transactional website, but for example, having them look into the ergonomics of a transactional website could be something that they would do. So maybe not the programming side, but the whole communications portion of it. They've worked on things similar to this in the past. Yeah,
the benchmarking is an interesting concept.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at who's your competition and what they've been up to. What are the best practices? Maybe you're part of an association, perhaps. There's a group of other organizations, other businesses in this particular industry working together. So what resources they have, those are other places that we could definitely go and take a look.
Okay, thank you.
Another question in the Q&A box. Andrew, for you, can you speak to any successes and company feedback from PBSL so far? And can the teams also include engineering or science students?
Sure, yeah, we can absolutely talk about that. We've, for success, I like thinking that repeat clients are a great sign of success. So when an organization or not-for-profit or business decides they want to come back and provide the students with a second or a third or a fourth mandate, I found that getting the first mandate is relatively easy, but it's to make sure that you get the second one, because you have to deliver. So we've been working, for example, with Lee Valley Tools for about 5 mandates now since we just started. That partnership is really flourishing, and they've allowed us to help them, for example, study the expansion plans. I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but that's what we've been working on. So trying to identify different markets. Our brand extensions are things that we've done with them. We will have several mandates with a group called Pivot and Edge, which are an HR firm, to try to develop a way of gamifying referencing on Slack. So that's an example. It's really a broad variety of different organizations. Emily's organization is one example, which is completely different than Eric's Ottawa Symphony Orchestra experience, which is completely different than, for example, we work with a startup consulting firm. It's called Consilium Crypto, which want to become basically the Bloomberg of the cryptocurrency market. So so there's one of the big successes that are the capacity to be flexible and adapt to different types of projects. And could it be open to engineering students? Yeah, absolutely. Right now, we're mostly focused with Sprott students, but actually one phenomenon that has happened with the CMR, and as part of our long-term strategic vision, is to expand beyond just the business school, to include students from all over campus. So if we had a project that is directly targeted to a project that had, for example, graphic design needs or communications needs or engineering, we would absolutely go and get them. And I'm happy to report, thanks Stefan for reminding us, yes, there are some current Masters of Engineering students who are volunteering with the CMR program right now. Thanks, Steph.
So we have one final question from one of the pillars of our Carleton community. Louise Heslop is asking, if a business fills out an application on your website, how quickly will a contact be made and consulting work with the students begin?
If a corporation reached out to us, we would have, probably within the week, our client affairs team of students would be reaching out to them. It'll probably take, maybe, depending on the size of the project, maybe about a week to define the initial mandate, and then we would find a team leader. So within 2 weeks, the team leader has been in contact, this charter will have been signed, and the students will be able to start working on them. Now that the CMR training is well advanced, we started for about a month now. So the students will be able to start concurrently working on the projects within about 1 week or 2 weeks of the initial contact.
Great. So we just have a couple minutes left. So at this point, I just want to open up the floor to the panelists in case any of you have any final thoughts or anything you want to share that we haven't covered yet. We covered a lot of ground.
I've spoken enough, so you folks feel free.
Yeah, I think it's you know, it's an interesting opportunity for everybody. I mean, this is a partnership, and that's what it is. And you know, developing that partnership, developing that tailor-made approach is important, but also having the backing of faculty and expertise behind it as well. You know, I think the program is amazing. I think the PBSL program is incredible. I think it's what it's done. I mean, I think, you know, it's nice to promote it and be part of it. And thank you, Andrew, for having me as being part of it as well. I think for local businesses right now, the struggle is incredible. We will see this continue, and the continuing struggle for, you know, we will see this for years in the economy. But as we know, even after SARS, post-SARS, businesses in Toronto went out of business even up to a year afterwards. So, you know, we take this very seriously. We know that this is people's lives. We know that these are people's businesses. This is their heart and soul. And so, you know, it's something that we take very seriously when we're doing and putting that together. So, you know, glad to be a part of anything that we can help. And if it just be a small part and a small help in getting through this tough time, but we're all in it together for sure.
From the students, I just want to say that we're all very, very excited to get involved as well. Just, yeah, it's an incredible experience, incredible opportunity, and especially now with the COVID-19 crisis, it's even more important for both us and I think for both the small and medium-sized clients as well.
I just encourage anybody in the audience who's a business owner to think about the things that they need help with and to definitely sign up, as I'm sure you'll be very happy with the results.
All right, thanks, Emily.
I mean, did you say it's free?
And
Andrew, did you have any final thoughts?
Well, no. I've hope to be in touch with everyone who's on this thing right now. So I don't have any final words because I don't think this is over. We're just getting started.
End. Okay, so then if there's no further questions, I just wanted to quickly say a huge thank you to all of our panelists for joining us today and sharing your perspectives. As we've all mentioned, this is a very important topic, especially now, and we just appreciate having your time and your expertise today. Likewise, I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in. We had over 50 participants today, which is great to see. And as Andrew mentioned, this is not the end. We'll be following up with you tomorrow with some additional information, as well as Andrew and Rodney's contact details if anyone has any final questions or clarifications. We really want to kind of keep that dialogue going and keep the conversation open. So we will be in touch and look out for that. And thank you all for joining us. Jen, was there anything you wanted to add?
I think that is great. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the day. And thank you so much again to our panelists.
And thanks, Laura and Jen, for organizing all this. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you for setting this up. It's much appreciated. All right.
Wonderful. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.